Welcome, Black Hollywood Live fans. On today's episode of Justice is Served, we talk Ricky Williams gets stopped by the police, and an Asian American band runs into trademark trouble. Stay tuned for more.
You are tuned into Black Hollywood Lives. Justice is served.
Well, we've got some interesting music on. Welcome to Justice is Served. My name is Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong. I'm joined here by Yemi Abayami.
Hi, it's Yemi Abayami, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @YemYems.
And right now we are jamming out to the music of the Slants. That comes up in another story about a trademark issue. But yeah, remember the Slants? They're trying to trademark that name, so interesting story.
Yeah.
But we started off at the top with Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams, the famed NFL running back, he got stopped by the police over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so he was walking through. He was in town for an event, some sort of football event, and he was staying at a hotel. And he was walking around the area. He said he decided to go for a walk when some officers stopped him. These officers had received a call about a suspicious person wandering around the hotel property.
And the best thing, we actually have the tape of this stop. And apparently, like insider knowledge, they didn't, because Ricky Williams is a friend of Chelsea Galicia. Chelsea is not here this week, but she gave us the story and she talked to Ricky about it. And apparently, they didn't even recognize him, didn't know who he was, because his name is Eric Williams. And so they didn't recognize the Eric to be Ricky. But yeah, we'll play the tape and we'll watch how this went down.
I doubt it. We'll talk to him then.
Like Ricky Williams.
What's going on, man? Talk to him. Stand in front of my car for him. I'm standing in front of my car, yeah. Where you coming from, man?
I just went for a walk.
Went for a walk?
Yeah.
You been back here lately?
No, I'm staying in this hotel.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. You have your weapons on you?
No.
Okay, turn around, place your hands behind your back. I'm just going to pat you down, make sure you don't have your weapons on you, okay?
Now, I thought that
Can you
was
lock your fingers for me?
kind of unusual protocol. So
Turn around for me.
this can happen to anyone if someone calls in and reports you to be suspicious.
Can you lock your fingers for me? There you go. Just like that.
I don't think that's.
Spread your feet.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a good question. Because the thing is, if someone makes a call, the police do have a duty to investigate it.
Not if I go in your pockets?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
But and I guess that's the whole point of kind of doing like a little stop, not detaining someone for longer than you have to detain them to uncover
That's your
kind of
ID?
what's really going on, or whether there's
I'll explain everything to you in just a
grounds for something more, for an arrest, for example.
And we know, so this is what's called a Terry frisk. So, Supreme Court established that in Terry v. Ohio. But what a Terry frisk is they're supposed to be feeling for weapons. They can't reach into your pocket and then grab marijuana and say, okay, we got you.
They're just trying to protect their own safety, so they know they've entered into a stop with an unknown person.
Yeah.
So they're allowed to protect themselves and just make sure that he doesn't have any weapons on him, but they can't go kind of searching for anything that doesn't feel like.
Yeah.
a weapon.
We got a call.
Now,
was over here
tell
behind
me,
the hotel.
when they asked him to go in his
Crouched down in
pockets,
somebody's yard.
so
Somebody thought it was suspicious.
what are your thoughts on that? Because he allowed him to go in his pockets, but doesn't he feel almost compelled to say yes?
Did you talk to the guy?
And that would be almost an overreach of the Terry frisk.
The guy
So
was carrying all
that-
the rooms and stuff?
The thing is, he said yes, so at the end of the day, there's kind of no issue
But
there.
what can you say in that situation with 5 police? You say no, it's going to create a combative environment.
That's the challenge. I mean, he has every right to say no, and they
Right.
really wouldn't
Yeah.
have been able to kind of say or do anything without reasonable suspicion to do so. But you do open yourself up to the possibility of then kind of prolonging the detention,
Or
because now
feeling-
they
yeah.
will think you are suspicious. What does he have to hide? Why can't I go into your pocket? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, unfortunately, for most people who get detained.
And then here they're continuing to question him.
Backyard. Across from there. Not back over the fence.
I was walking right over there.
At this point, they've already seen his hotel key and they know he's staying in that hotel.
Why would I be in someone's backyard?
You tell me. I don't know.
No, I mean, you might have saw a black person and got suspicious, but I wasn't doing it. Well, you matched the exact script. No, that's not what I meant. But I meant, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him in that state because he was saying, very reasonably said, look, someone might have just thought I was suspicious by the color of my skin. And they're saying, oh, now you're turning it into a race issue.
And I just don't understand why they're continuing to talk. They've done the frisk, they've determined there's no weapon.
I really was just going for a walk. Where are you staying?
And so, yeah, this goes on for a full 7 minutes. And so normally I'm for the police doing their job and maybe performing a Terry frisk, and but this to me seemed like almost too much.
I mean, he's. I think everyone has a right to be left alone, and in this case, he kind of unfortunately didn't get to be left alone. I don't know. They're kind of engaging him in conversation, and part of me wonders whether it's on purpose. Sometimes you'll notice that the officers will engage you in conversation while another officer is busy running a check in the car to see if you have warrants out for arrest or anything that could potentially kind of give them grounds to, I guess, detain you longer. So maybe that's kind of what's happening here. They really have no reason to keep him. They've checked his pockets. They haven't found anything. He says he was going for a walk. There's something kind of crazy about his story. But they might just be biding time at this point.
Yeah.
There is a question as to how long can they reasonably keep you for. The Supreme Court has said that they can't keep you for any longer period of time than is reasonable to kind of assess the situation.
Yeah.
I didn't hear. I want
So,
to. Huh?
well, yeah, quite the ordeal for Ricky, but at least he wasn't arrested and was fine. I think he actually appeared on the Tomorrow Show, so that's you guys can go out and catch the Tomorrow Show and see Ricky talk about this incident personally.
Yeah, he handled it well, though. He didn't really get agitated. He spoke to them calmly, as you're expected to do as a black man who gets stopped.
Yes. So, well, moving on, we have Sherri Shepherd, another celebrity in the news. Again, we know this has been an ongoing case. What did you think about her latest win? She finally won.
Well, I wouldn't call it a win necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, she went, her former husband, Sally, I can't remember what his first name is.
No, it's not John. What is it?
I know.
Lamar, is it Lamar Sally?
I'm not sure, but Mr. Sally took Sherri Shepherd to court, saying that he wanted more child support. She's currently paying $6,400. He wants more because he says that child support order was based off of her perceived salary of $1 million. It turns out that she might be making up to $3 million
He's also getting his health care fully paid as well.
Health care,
Yeah.
he's on her life insurance,
yeah.
things like that. But he's saying he needs more in terms of child support because the child has some sort of developmental
disorder.
issues. Yeah. And so he took her to court in California saying, I want increased child support. The court ruled in Sherri's favor, saying that matters of child support really fall under the New Jersey's jurisdiction. We don't have proper jurisdiction to even rule in this matter. So if you have an issue with the amount that you're getting paid, you've got to go back to New Jersey and have them resolve it.
And currently she's paying a little bit more than what she's ordered to pay in New Jersey, so he runs the risk of getting a reduced award.
Right.
What did you think about the validity of it? She did make $1.8 million more than she had reported.
Yeah, no, I think that's a problem. Typically the child support amount that you pay is based off of your earnings, and so if they're operating based off of different, the wrong assumptions with respect to her earnings, then I think it is fair to ask the court to reassess that and make some changes to the spousal support numbers. Now the question is, is the amount off by so much, or sorry, is the amount that she's paying
Over and above,
is that consistent with, someone who makes $3 million, or is it inconsistent with? And so you just don't know how the court will go in that case. But you don't want to agitate someone who's already paying more than,
yes.
because it could work against you.
Well, a small victory, I guess, for Sherri Shepherd.
Yes.
Well, we started off the top of the show with the Slants. So it looks like this Asian American band has decided to call themselves the Slants, and they're doing this to break down racial stereotypes. And I think it's also kind of indicative of maybe where the Redskins argument might go. We've talked about that before. What do you think about the getting their trademark rejected?
Well, I thought it was interesting that I thought it was. It's an interesting case, I think, because there have been a lot of inconsistencies in the way the trademark office has applied this rule. So there's a provision in the that makes it such that the trademark office has to deny trademarks for those marks that might be considered disparaging or offensive to a group of people, which is why the Redskins lost their trademark registration. And so in this case, they're saying that the term the Slants is an offensive term for Asian people, whereas the Slants are saying that, we are trying to kind of take back that type of term and kind of use it, use it in a positive manner. Also, it goes to the fact that we have a different slant in terms of our perspective. So there's a variety of ways to look at it. But what I think in terms of whether it's right or wrong, it's hard to say because the term slant, I don't know it as a racist term, but perhaps it is. But what I do think is interesting to point out is that there have been inconsistencies with the trademark office's application because you see NWA, which stands for N-word with an attitude, that got a registration. White Trash Cowboys has a registration. There is an instance where it was a group called Dykes on Bikes where they got a registration, but then when they went to register their logo, that was denied. So it seems kind of unclear in what instances the trademark office says, hey, no, we're going to reject this, and then in the cases in which they allow an offensive term to be trademarked.
Yeah, and we know that the lower court just ruled that provision was actually against the Constitution because it qualified as viewpoint discrimination. And so which way do you think the Supreme Court's going to go on this? I know we have some indications of been oral arguments.
Yeah, it seemed that a number of the justices seemed to say that it is viewpoint discrimination and that, and that they can't, that there's a problem with, with, I guess, limiting their use of.
I thought Sotomayor had an interesting thing because she didn't really, or she seems to indicate she may not necessarily go that route, but she says, because they can't get a trademark doesn't mean they can't call themselves the slants.
Yeah, that's what the that's what the administration tried to argue that hey, we're not kind of imposing on your free speech rights.
Yeah.
We're just saying that you can't take advantage, you can't avail yourself of the certain benefits that trademark registration offers.
Did you find that persuasive?
I did not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, trademark registration, it offers a lot. I mean, in this case, if they were to have, their registration denied, yes, they're still able to go on using the name. They can still
and it means no one
sell
else can trademark it
records.
either, so they can still use it.
Yeah, they can still use it. They can still sell records.
Yeah.
It just takes away certain rights to damages that you might have, and rights to sue in federal court.
But then they can still design patents and things. They can probably get around it by adding more to their logos or having a logo that's not the slant, but that correlates with their band.
Well, I don't know but it's not. I don't think it's a matter of the logo. I think it's the word mark itself.
No, I'm saying if they could create a logo that goes along with the band, then maybe they could trademark that.
Oh yeah. They could still trademark the logo, but they probably want to be able to trademark the name because they actually said they ran into a conflict with a group in Colorado, I believe, who also had the name The Slants. And they told them, hey, guys, this is our name. You need to change it. And that Colorado group, they first adjusted, or first off, they said, yeah, sure, but we won't use it. And then they, a few months later, they decided, no, we're actually going to keep the name, but we're just going to make a capital S and a capital N.
And that you could probably trademark.
Well, that's the question, though, because there's nothing wrong with the word slants in
maybe referring to Asians,
objectively, but in the case of in the case of the Asian band, they're using the term slants, I guess, as a kind of derogatory, taking back a derogatory term. The Colorado group, I don't think there was any. They weren't using it,
but certainly
to mean anything other than just the word slanted,
Yeah, but they would still not get the trademark though because it's still disparaging to another group.
I wasn't sure whether that was the case.
Yeah.
Because there are other trademark registrations for the term slant, I believe.
But if they believe it's disparaging to another race or group, then you can't use it.
Right.
So,
but I think there are already other registrations out there for the word slant. They don't have.
They must have to do with something that fits that product and mold.
That's a good question, but I don't know how you can ever tell. So, for example, if that Colorado group, let's just say it was a group of a group of Mexican kids who just are just using it. Not with respect to like being Asian or nothing. They're just using it slant. It's a word.
Yeah.
It's a fine word to use and say. Then there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to trademark it once they have certain recognition and they're engaging in commerce underneath that name. There would be no reason for the trademark office to deny that. It seems like it's just because I don't know how the trademark office kind of found out that.
It was an Asian American band in particular, but
Asian American band and using it in a derogatory manner? Like, who makes that assessment? Does the trademark office just say slant is a bad word? Since when?
Well, I think they may have, when they offered up their explanation for their ban, that's probably where they got wind of it. So, I mean, it's an interesting case, but I think the Supreme Court will probably come down and say it is viewpoint discrimination. So.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I was reading an article about it, and one of the one of the group members was saying that they hope that the Redskins are restricted from using the term Redskins because that's disparaging. But in their case, they of course want to go ahead with being able to trademark the name because in their case, even though it might be considered disparaging, we, the group ourselves, are using it. I thought it raised a very interesting question as to whether it's something only disparaging once a group outside of that is using that term.
And how do you objectively investigate how they're, because a group might be within that group, but they might be using it in a derogatory manner as well. So how do you investigate or determine in a court of law which way their intent is? So I think they're going to have to come down and say it's viewpoint discrimination and open it up a little bit more. Well, we'll see.
Well, I'm sure the Redskins are hoping for it.
Well, we have another interesting case with a retired corrections officer getting arrested and claiming that he was beaten during the arrest.
So we have Ronald Lanier, who was shopping in a supermarket in, I think it was Long Island, New York, just shopping in the supermarket. And again, we have a situation where the police were called about a potential shoplifter somewhere, and so they immediately stopped Lanier. He claims that they punched him and they shouted epithets at him. He had to be treated for bruises, and he wants them off the force.
What do you think?
He himself was an officer. Sorry, I forgot to add. He himself is a police officer, and when he said that I'm an officer, I think they said there's a term that you use. I'm on the job. They said that's a term that officers often use to identify themselves as officers, but they laughed at him and mocked him.
What do you think his chances of prevailing are?
Well, I guess provided that they have, witness testimony saying that, they accosted him and shoved him, because he says that he complied with their orders. They, asked him to stop, turn around, put your hands behind your back. He says that he complied with their orders, and they shoved him to the ground and were beating him, and that they only stopped when he asked witnesses to start recording the incident. And we already know how important it is to have that, that video evidence, because sometimes even when we have video evidence, nothing happens to the officers. But, I think it's what he has on his side is the fact that it turned out that the suspect that they were actually looking for was 100 pounds heavier than him, apparently, was wearing clothing completely of a different color than he was wearing. So he does have the grounds to say that, first off, you guys didn't even have the right to stop, regardless of how you treated me in terms of beating me and hitting me.
You didn't even have the right to stop me in the first place.
You didn't even have the right to stop me, because just because someone calls in, a black man has been shoplifting doesn't mean you have the rights to just stop every black person in your sight. You have to have a very focused and more narrow description of the individual if you're going to stop someone, and make sure that that person fits that narrow description.
And I think one of the benefits that we had with the DOJ making these consent decrees with different cities was that this was the kind of stuff that would stop or be included within training. So it's unfortunate, but we'll see, how cities are affected going forward. But given the fact that the grocery place is a dangerous place to go, sometimes you might want to cook at home. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing at home?
Well, so Blue Apron, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Of course.
But it's a service where you literally do not have to go to the grocery store anymore. They will send you a box of meals, ingredients, I should say, to your doorstep on a weekly basis, and you have your meals for the week. And all you have to do is take the ingredients out of the box, chop them up, prepare them, cook them, and then you have these gourmet meals.
You've used them before, right?
I've used them before.
What's your favorite meal?
Oh gosh, there's so many, because you make so many different meals, with each shipment that comes with you to you. I don't even know that I would be able to specifically say. I just know that I love kind of that they pay particular attention to detail in terms of not only do you cook the meal, but they provide you with little garnishes that you can use to garnish your meal and things like that.
How long does it take to make? Is this
The time it takes to make the meals, it ranges. Sometimes it might be 30 minutes. Sometimes it might take 45 minutes. They don't tend to take too long. You do have to prep the meals, and so you do have to do some of the chopping and things like that. But it's not anything more than anything else. But it is great that you don't have to go to the supermarket anymore, and you have the food delivered to you, and you have the benefit of having multiple meals throughout the week. So there are some people like myself. Sometimes I tend to just cook once during the week. And I eat the same thing throughout the week, but that can get a little bit boring. And so with Blue Apron, you're able to have a mixture of meals.
And wait, how often are you getting meals? Is it weekly, bi-weekly?
So you're getting them every week.
Okay.
And I think you can actually choose how many meals you get per week. So I think sometimes you can do you can choose to get 6 meals a week, and then I think there are options for more as well. I'm not sure though.
And then is it well priced?
Yeah, it is. It's literally for less than $10 per person per meal. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. So it's definitely a reasonable price. I mean, $10 per meal. I cannot go to a restaurant without paying more for that. I can barely go to a food truck without paying more for that. So.
But can we make it lower? How do we make it lower?
Some of the types of upcoming meals, you asked me what's my favorite, but some of the featured upcoming meals, they have spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage. They have pork chops and garlic piccata with scallion rice. They have mushroom and chipotle pepper enchiladas. So note that they also have vegetarian meals
nice,
too.
yeah.
If you don't eat meat, you can select that you don't eat red meat, or you only eat fish, or you don't eat animal protein altogether. So it gives you a lot of options.
And then how do we make it even cheaper? Let's get it even cheaper. Can we get a week free? What do you get when we put in the code?
Well, let's see. Check out this week's menu, and you can actually get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/justice. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/justice.
That's awesome. 3 meals for free. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So thank you guys, Blue Apron. Well, we have one more story, and this is about another Asian American story. A math professor. So there's a math professor, and he's claiming that at the University of Chicago, that as a Korean, they made him teach math and Korean studies, and he had no choice in the matter, even though he wasn't qualified to teach.
Yeah, no, I thought this was actually an interesting case where this man, his last name is Choi, so I'll just call him Professor Choi, was a teacher at the University of Illinois at Chicago, and he was a professor of international relations.
Yeah.
And what happened was that in 2010, he was fired from his job, and he filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They settled, and in 2001, he was actually reinstated with a promotion. But then in 2016, we have the present case where he filed another claim for retaliation, saying that they were trying to make him teach a statistics class because Koreans specifically are great at math.
He didn't get any raises as well. He thought no fair raises throughout the
he didn't get. He was denied raises. He was asked to teach Korean politics, which he said, I have no background in Korean politics. I'm not even qualified to teach this. And so he felt that they were purposely trying to isolate him from the others in the department, and really it's kind of created almost like a hostile environment for him.
And at one point, I guess the department head changed one of his grades and said, as a Korean, he wouldn't understand American culture and that Koreans were stubborn.
Yeah, so, I mean, if there is actual documentation of these things, then I think he probably has a pretty good case on his hands.
Yeah, it's not looking so good for University of Illinois.
No, it's not.
Well, that runs our gamut of stories for today. We got through it quickly. We're down to...
There was one thing I wanted to get your perspective on the whole, Sherri Shepherd, because we were talking earlier about, the fact that she had, so in addition to kind of the question of how much she was supposed to pay in child support, there was another interesting matter where she tried to remove her name from the birth certificate of the child because she felt, I'm not this child's mother. So So, I mean, what did you think of that? Because so basically the background of this is that she and her ex-husband were in a relationship. They had gotten married. She realized that she could not have children.
Yeah.
And so they got a donor egg
and
implanted it into his sperm and got a surrogate to carry the baby.
Yeah.
But fast forward, the wedded bliss
yeah.
only lasts for so long. 6 months later, or 6 months into the pregnancy, Sherri Shepherd says, "I'm out of this relationship, and by the way, that's not my baby."
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense from her standpoint, right? It's not even her egg, so there's no genetic material.
But when you enter into an agreement for surrogacy,
Yeah.
I mean, you're signing contracts that say that I am the parent of this child, like I will take responsibility for this child. Because what was interesting, she was trying to say the surrogate mother, the woman who carried the baby, who was just all I did was enter into a contract to carry this baby for you. But she tried to say that, that's the mother over there.
Well, it has to fall on Sherri, but there is something very...
whatever happened to the upholding of contract law?
It has to fall on Sherri because of contract law. But there is something that seems odd about it, that it's not your child. You're no longer married to the guy you're going to raise it with. But yeah, she signed a contract. She should have fully entered into that, expecting to raise his child, regardless of which way the relationship was going to go. But I think she signed it. She thought, wedded bliss, this is going to be wonderful.
Yeah, I just thought it was a little strange that once they broke up, she was like, I can also just get rid of this child that I've created, that I chose to create.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, but I can see it from her standpoint. In terms of the emotion, she has no emotional tie to the child. She no longer has an emotional tie to the person she was going to raise the child with. So it would seem very natural for her to say, "Okay, I'm good."
Well, wait. So then, does that excuse absentee fathers who are like, I never had that part of my child's life, so why should I still be this child's parent?
I think she should still be paying, but I understand her feeling. I understand her, but she should still be paying.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, on that note,
I had to say it. I was so surprised when I saw this. It was I don't think you can just
get rid of the child.
Yeah,
no,
get rid of the
can't.
child. No.
And she's paying quite a
it's
pretty
not like
penny.
returning a pocketbook to the store.
So on that note, we'll leave you guys. Again, my name is Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong.
And I'm Yemi Abayami, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ayemyems.
Have a good one.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.